to the facts. On October 15th, 2025, a new class action lawsuit was filed against two of America's biggest financial giants, Bank of America and the Bank of New York Mellon, or BNY Mellon. The lawsuit was filed by Jane Doe, an anonymous plaintiff, on behalf of herself and other survivors. The core allegation is shocking. This lawsuit claims that these banks knowingly provided financial services that enabled Epstein's widespread operation, that they participated in and financially benefited from it. This is a direct quote from the complaint against BNY Mellon. Egregiously, BNY had a plethora of information regarding Epstein's sex trafficking operation, but chose profit over protecting the victims. So, what is this plethora of information? What's the bank's defense? The lawsuit alleges BNY Mellon possessed a staggering $378 million in payments related to Epstein's network. Plaintiffs' lawyers, who have already successfully sued other banks in the same matter, are suing under the Trafficking Victim Protection Act, or TVPA. This law basically says that anyone who knowingly benefits financially from a trafficking operation can be held liable for damages. As you'd expect, the bank is fighting back, and fighting back hard. BNY Mellon's CEO, Robin Vince, went on TV and said the claims are, quote, meritless, and that the bank will contest it vigorously. Bank of America issued a similar statement. This is the classic he said, she said in a billion-dollar legal battle. But there's a problem for the banks. This lawsuit isn't happening in a vacuum. It's landing at the exact same time that Congress is demanding answers about $1.5 billion. So, let's follow the money, the $1.5 billion congressional probe. This is where the story gets bigger than just one lawsuit. In October 2025, just 1 week before this lawsuit was filed, ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee, Jamie Raskin, announced a major investigation. The committee is probing four of the biggest banks in the world over their handling of more than $1.5 billion in transactions linked to Epstein's network. The core of this investigation is about a simple, powerful, and legally required document, the SAR, or Suspicious Activity Report. SAR is not an accusation, but it's a notification. It's a bank compliance officer raising their hand and telling the FBI, hey, you might want to look at this. This doesn't look right. It's the tripwire for our entire anti-money laundering, or AML, system, and that's the entire problem. The system only works if the banks actually file the reports in a timely way. The allegation from Congress is that they didn't. In a letter to BNY Mellon, Congressman Raskin wrote, and I'm quoting, while reports indicate that you filed SARs covering $378 million in payments, these SARs were reportedly filed years after Mr. Epstein's death, beyond what was required, and when the opportunity to intervene and prevent his conduct had passed. Let me just translate that. Filing a suspicious activity report after the suspect is dead and the crimes are all over the news is not prevention. Like calling the fire department after the building is already burned to the ground. Senator Ron Wyden said it just as clearly about JP Morgan. For banks to withhold these reports is an impediment to our criminal justice system. This congressional probe suggests BNY Mellon's defense of meritless is on very shaky ground. But if you really want to know how this new BNY case might end, you just have to look at what's already happened. BNY Mellon is not the first bank to face these exact allegations, and the path for them is expensive. Let's start with JP Morgan Chase. Epstein was a client there for 15 years, from 1998 to 2013. The bank kept him as a client even after his 2008 conviction in Florida. These lawsuits allege JP Morgan's executives, including former exec Jess Staley, knew what was happening and ignored it because Epstein was a wealthy, lucrative client. After a long legal battle, what happened? First, JP Morgan agreed to pay $290 million to settle the class action lawsuit from Epstein survivors. Second, they paid another $75 million to settle a separate lawsuit from the U.S. Virgin Islands, where Epstein had his private island. That is $365 million in settlements. And JP Morgan still has not admitted wrongdoing. Okay, but what happened after JP Morgan kicked him out in 2013? Epstein just walked his accounts right down the street to Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank took him on as a high-risk client, knowing his criminal history. They banked him from 2013 to 2018. Same allegations surfaced. The bank inexcusably failed to detect millions of dollars of suspicious transactions. The result? First, in 2020, New York regulators fined Deutsche Bank $150 million for significant compliance failures related to Epstein. In 2023, Deutsche Bank settled its class action lawsuit with survivors for $75 million. So, total paid out from all of these combined, $590 million. JP Morgan and Deutsche Bank have already paid out a combined $590 million for the exact same alleged failures that BNY Mellon is now being sued for. This is the precedent that we were talking about. The law firms that won these cases are the same firms now suing BNY Mellon. They have a $590 million playbook. How did all these banks miss what was going on? The truth is, they didn't miss it. The allegation is they ignored it. The red flags are everywhere. What are these red flags that a multi-trillion-dollar bank's compliance department could possibly miss? According to compliance experts and the lawsuits, the red flags were not subtle. They included unusual cash withdrawal patterns. We know from the JPM lawsuit that Epstein was withdrawing large sums of cash, hundreds of thousands of dollars at a time. Third-party transfers, money moving from Epstein's accounts to multiple other accounts in strange patterns. Payments to high-risk individuals. This is the big one. The lawsuits allege the banks process payments to clusters of women, many with high-risk nationalities, who all listed Epstein's properties as their residence. Alarming account behavior. Bank of America complaint details how Jane Doe was instructed to open an account, which was then used by Epstein's accountant to conduct incredibly alarming and erratic banking behavior in amounts that were not typical for her. Any one of these should have triggered an SAR. All of them together is a 5-alarm fire for a compliance department. This is the heart of the matter. The lawsuits claim the banks did know. They knew Epstein's history. They saw the red flags, but they also saw the millions of dollars in fees and the lucrative clients he could bring in, and as the lawsuit alleges, they chose profit over protecting the victims. This story has a major confusing twist, because right as the lawsuit hit the news, a different Mellon was all over the headlines for giving away $130 million, and the internet, as it does, exploded with confusion, linking the wrong man to the wrong story. So, I have to clear this up. Okay, this is a Bank Smartly fact check moment, and this is really important. In late 2025, you saw headlines everywhere about a mystery donor giving $130 million to the US government to help pay troops during a shutdown. This is actually the reason why I'm making this video, is because so many people commented linking Epstein to the story. The donor was revealed to be billionaire Timothy Mellon. He's a major political donor and an heir to the original Mellon banking fortune. So when the BNY Mellon lawsuit hit the news at the same time, social media went into a frenzy, claiming Timothy Mellon was personally involved in the lawsuit or connected to Epstein. To be crystal clear, here's the facts. Timothy Mellon is an individual and an heir. The Mellon family founded Mellon Bank centuries ago. The corporation, BNY Mellon, was formed by a merger between the old Mellon Financial and the Bank of New York in 2007. Here's the most important one. After that 2007 merger, the Mellon family did not retain ownership or control in the new company. Timothy Mellon has no direct link to BNY Mellon's management or financial activities. It's a publicly traded company owned by institutional investors like Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street. So, is Timothy Mellon linked to the BNY Mellon lawsuit? No. Is there any known association between Timothy Mellon and Jeffrey Epstein? No. This confusion is only based on the shared name and the timing. The lawsuit is against the corporation for its own alleged compliance failures. But that corporation, it now has a brand new problem, because this scandal isn't just about the victims anymore. It's about to hit the bank's investors. This is the part every single investor needs to pay attention to. For years, the legal battles were fought by survivors, but now a new front has opened up. Prominent law firm Scott & Scott has announced it is investigating BNY Mellon's directors and officers. Claim it's not about the trafficking acts, it's about breach of fiduciary duty. What is fiduciary duty? A bank's leadership, such as directors and officers, have a fiduciary duty to act in the best interest of the company and its owners, the shareholders. Here's the argument, and it's a powerful one. If the bank's leadership failed to manage the bank in an acceptable manner, if they ignored AML laws, failed to file SARs on time, and exposed the bank to hundreds of millions of dollars in fines, settlements, and catastrophic reputational damage, did they fail their duty to protect the investigation alleges that the shareholders have suffered damages as a result of these failures. This is the real-world consequence. When a bank fails at its most basic legal duty, to not facilitate crime, fallout hits everyone. First the survivors, and now the investors who trusted the bank with their capital. Let's bring this all home. What does $378 million lawsuit against BNY Mellon really mean? One, this is a systemic industry-wide failure. The $1.5 billion congressional probe and the $590 million in prior settlements shows this wasn't one lone bad apple executive or one bad apple bank. This was a systemic breakdown of the most basic anti-money laundering and know your customer rules. Two, the meritless defense is weak. BNY Mellon says the suit is meritless, but they're facing the same lawyers who used the same evidence to win $590 million in settlements from JPM and Deutsche Bank. The precedent is powerful and it's not on BNY's side. So, this has created a new investor risk. The shift to breach of fiduciary duty lawsuits means bank leadership is now being held accountable by their own shareholders. This is a new and massive liability for the entire industry. Ultimately, these lawsuits are forcing a long overdue reckoning. They are a signal to the entire financial world that profit is not a defense for enabling crime. We're watching this case to see if BNY Mellon follows the path of JPM and settles, or if they dare to take this to a full trial. Make sure you subscribe for that update.